Notice this looks a lot like this. Okay, well, this is only half the picture. Now, it looks a lot like those hieroglyphs. This is a thermoelectric generator with an open arc, with a cathode and anode, like the Ark of the Covenant. As I've claimed before, I mean, it's around that I believe it's in this sarcophagus, and it was the plasma, like a spark plug in here. And it used radium inside it, and this is where your arc or your star was. And these are the control rods. These are in hieroglyphs. And you overlay this that's in the hieroglyphs onto that, this is what you get. And coincidentally, Aaron's rods sat inside it. Control rods, nuclear rods. But they use solid state physics. Now look at this. It looks a lot like that. And if you have a cathode and anode here, which remember it was in between the cherubs, you got the star or the arc. And it essentially sat inside the bill. And the capstone, as I was claimed, it's a distributor for the wireless energy that went to these staves and scepters and such because they were a wireless device. But it wasn't like a device we used for internet. They used it for powerful purposes, like weaponry kind of stuff. Now here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and each one of these has 3, and there's 18 there. Of course, you have 13 little lines going down. Just notice out here, e pluralis unum, out of many, one. If this is fusing particles to create one star, out of many, one. So if there was an arc in the king's chamber, and there was ionized hydrogen coming in, as I've stated in a couple other videos, and it was a red star, essentially all these little particles are creating a fusion reactor. Because a star is basically many explosions in particles that equal one giant mass of energy. Here's 2 more again, with the Sphinx on top. I understand people believe these are probably some kind of temple, and I'm not disputing that. I believe it had something to do with energy resonance too, or honing in energy. Since the Sphinx sits on this box like this, I'm going to lean toward, now people have said, and they've claimed they found mercury, and I don't dispute that either, but I'm just going to throw this out here. I believe the Sphinx itself is a type of heat sink that sits on this thermoelectric generator here, under it, beneath it. And at some point, there's some heat down here, and this is absorbing the heat, or this is absorbing the heat from the sun, which is generating energy into the box down here, which is a solid state box. It's like a crystalline transistor box. Basically, it's one of these, thermoelectric generator. Using thermodynamics. See, if this is the Sphinx sitting up here, then it's absorbing heat and transferring it, and it's cold down here. Or the Sphinx itself is the cooling side, and there's heat being generated somewhere down in here. I think that has something to do with the mercury. I'm not sure. I can't conclude that, but I'm just leaning toward it. I'm just saying, thermoelectric generators are backwards compatible with PC hardware. Since they're solid state or transistor, they got crystalline in them and metals. And that's why it looks like the whole complex, it looks like a motherboard, and it's called a complex. And this even sits on a socket like a CPU. All of the metals have just been pillaged. And that's where the Egyptians got all this gold, because they dug these things up. It took them about 25 years to dig them up, pillage them, and turn all of it into trinkets and stuff like this. The Mayans, they did the same thing to the Teotihuacan pyramids. They found them, excavated them, dug them up, stripped all the gold, and used it for whatever they used it for. They didn't know what the things were, but they knew it had some kind of significance, but all they saw was precious metal. And they were essentially the same thing. They were just stepped. They're just more like Peltier thermoelectric generators. But it's all the same thing.